Thank you. A lot of people, like, I got friends in Yankees or whatever, they ask what it's like being a cop in the South. I'm serious. I mean, it must be a whole different, entire universal world between the North and the South being a law enforcement officer. Because I got a friend that's a retired Michigan State police officer. He was a lieutenant. And he asked me one day, he said, what's it like being a cop down in the South? I guess they think that we all have a big chaw of tobacco in the mouth and walk around and say, you got a hairline out, boy. And then the guy says, no, I don't. And then we take a stick out and bust it. Yeah, you do, boy. I mean, that's not what it's like being a cop in the South. But, no, seriously, and I've also got a friend of my wife's who's a retired New York police officer. And he's asked me, what's it like being a cop down in the South? Well, I'm about to tell you. I'm not a law enforcement officer anymore, but once law enforcement is in your blood and you've served, it's just like the military. It's always there. Now, just to let you guys know, I have a book out called Served with Honor, Life Behind the Badge. And it is a great success. Of course, when I say great success, that means in my mama Connie's eyes and my wife Carol's eyes. To this day, though, I have received at least $1.10 in royalties. 2 copies sold. Never mind that I'm the one that bought the 2 copies, but hey, they got sold. Now, apparently there are some things that civilians, citizens, love to say to every cop that they see, thinking they're funny. Let me assure you, cops do not find these things funny. Here's one example. You're giving someone a ticket because you got them going 93,000 miles in a 45. And while you're up there, man, all these drug dealers and murderers running around, and all you can do is stop me. You need about that busted drug dealers and all these real criminals. Sign here, please. Now, the other thing that they say, it don't matter if you're arresting them, giving them a ticket, or if you just walking by them in a park. I'll pay your salary. Do you know? Let me go ahead and tell you, for cops do not find this funny. It is not cute. And most of these folks, you see it, especially if you work in neighborhoods that I always worked in, where you just call them ghettos and projects. 99.9% of them were on welfare and did not pay taxes. But you pay your salary. Another thing, and it does not matter if you walk into a convenience store, if you walk into a bank, a doctor's office, it does not matter. When you walk through that door, somebody's going to turn around and see you and go, I didn't do it. I did not do it. Sometimes they add on something, such as, I didn't do it, but they did, and point at their friend or something like that. This is the 77th time I've heard this today, and it's still awesome funny. It don't matter where you walk into. I had the pleasure or the honor one time to actually chalk one up for police officers everywhere. I had a warrant for this lady, and I had attempted to serve it several times, and she would never answer her door to her apartment. So the next day shift I had, I was like, I knew where she worked. So I drove up to this auto body shop, and I get out, walk in, and there's this guy in mechanic's clothes leaning up against the counter, and there's the female behind the counter with the cash register. As soon as I walk in, he looks like, I didn't do it, she did. See, y'all already know where this is going, don't you? I said, yes, sir, she did. She was under arrest. Both their jaws dropped. It got silent, and I walked around both of them, got behind the counter, put the handcuffs on her, locked them so they wouldn't tighten up on her. Now, Chris being Chris, I started to walk her around the counter, and I looked at the guy, and he's still sitting there all shocked. And I looked at him and went, thank you, buddy, for letting me know she did it. The next morning, I was called into the chief's office. Apparently, it's not nice to taunt people back or joke back, you know. I I was joking. Get a break and you go to McDonald's, Burger King, wherever you go, and you go inside to eat, you sit down with your meal. Oh man, am I paying you to sit here and eat? Oh, you paying me to sit here and eat. And inside your head, you I kind of got in trouble one day. Me and another officer sitting in there trying to eat and have a meal. And this guy walks up that we had dealt with before. I mean, arrest and things like that. And he comes up, oh, I see y'all sitting here now. I'm paying y'all salary to sit here and eat. And I didn't think about it. I just reached in my pocket. I had some change. I pulled a penny out and dropped it on the table. I said, there's your salary. The next day I was called into the chief's office. If you come encounter with all different aspects of people, whether they be tall people, even midgets. Well, I guess the term of the day is little people. I had an unfortunate encounter. Now, keep in mind, I'm freaked out by midgets. I get a call one day, and I pull up into the parking lot, and I see this woman behind this car. I mean, you could tell she's screaming. Her hands are all animated. So I get out, and I start walking toward her, and she looks at me, and she looks back just at nothing, and she's just still just screaming. And I walk out and say, ma'am, what's the problem? He's done pissed me off. And I'm like, well, I walk around the car, and there's this little Mexican midget. I swear to God, I could not see him when I was approaching it. So I get up there, and then, I'm like, look, just both of you shut up for me. And it took me a second. I had to literally process this in my mind. And they started both telling me, I said, shut up a minute. I got to make sure this is real, that this is not. So I start listening to them. They tell me what the hell they arguing about, this and that. And then out of the blue, this little Mexican midget looks up at me and tells me he's going to whoop me. Now, you're laughing, but keep in mind, midgets freak me out. So I've already got my hand on my gun, I've got my hand on my mace, and I'm sitting there, I'm still trying to process. You just rolled up on this, and you got to process this in your head. Well, he sits there, he's bowing up on me the best that he can. Those little arms and stuff. But he's mean shit. And I said, you know what? You're under arrest. I put one handcuff on that arm, and I realized his little arms won't come around to the back. I had to get an extra pair of handcuffs and double link the handcuffs on him across the parking lot, and he's raising hell. Start speaking in Spanish. Now, if you've not heard a midget speaking Spanish, you've got to hear that, because it's like the chipmunks in reverse. What I'm like, from the back collar, and I grabbed the seat of his pants, like them up like a bag of potatoes, and just slid him into the back seat and closed the damn door. Cops will definitely understand, and will probably get you punched right in the mouth. Man, it's quiet tonight. I'm serious, because no matter if it is quiet and nothing going on, and it's quiet, not on the radio, not many calls. Once somebody says, man, it's quiet tonight. Monkeys are running wild to the streets, and there are shootings, and I'm serious. Don't ever say, man, it's quiet. And that's one thing that rookies always learn, because if you get assigned a rookie to train, you don't think about telling them this stuff. And it never fails. About your third, fourth night, if it gets slow on the shift, the rookie will look over and say, man, it's pretty quiet tonight. You just want to back right there in the seat. Because then you're going to get every single call, from a murder to hostage takers to man with a gun to shoplifters to domestics to every damn thing that you can imagine is going to happen when you say, man, it's quiet tonight. Another thing is, and I know all you've heard this, look, it's a full moon tonight. And you don't like to hear that. You can look up in the sky your damn self and see it's a full moon, but you ain't got to say it. Once you say it, you have opened the Pandora's box. I don't care. It's going to be a mental patient running down the street butt naked, or it's going to be a guy that just chopped his wife up. or it's going to be a Bigfoot sight, or there's going to be 12 aliens that landed somewhere and people saw it. You're going to get into things that it's a full moon tonight. Every one of you out there that's or a police officer or have been a police officer know this also. You've always got that one on your shift who cannot just chill. We're having a quiet night, so a lot of us just park our cars, sit there and may try to run a little bit of radar or just kill time. But that one on your shift who is always trying to get into something.
No, stop it, PD. I'm going to check this little truck out that has been parked here for 12 years. I'm just going to decide to check it tonight.
Now, this truck that he decides to check out has been parked there for 12 years, got spider webs all over it. He decides this night he's going to check it. That's about what it is, because they always find something that you think is going to be nothing. Next thing you know, shots fired, they're chasing somebody, they're doing this, and then from then on, the rest of the night, the calls go off the charts, and you're running, balls to the wall. I know all of you can appreciate that. There's a term for it nowadays that the younger people are using. I think it's called Karen. The Karen. We call it entitled women. Now, I'm not just talking about citizens. Even other cops' wives. One night, I was walking up, and as soon as I got up, she was already had one hand on the steering wheel and was looking at me with this smirk on her face. I said, "How you doing, ma'am? I need to see your license and registration, please." "I'm Deputy so-and-so's wife." I'm like, okay. I knew this deputy. He worked in our county out with the sheriff's department. I was like, "I need to see your license and registration, ma'am." And boy, she gave me this look like, really? Now let me tell you all something. Just because you're married or dating a law enforcement officer does not mean you understand what it's like being a cop. It does not definitely make you a law enforcement expert. And it does not make you above the law. Yes, there are times that common professional courtesy is given among law enforcement officers and family members if they're not. Walked back to the car, got in the car, and I was actually just trying to placate time and mess around. But the more I sat there in the car, the more I thought about it. You know what? She talked herself into this. I write the ticket out, and I walk back up to the car, give her license and registration. And then when I put the clipboard and I said, "You need to sign here," and she goes, "You really giving me a ticket? I told you my husband was Deputy so-and-so." Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I swear it was a forked tongue. And I said, "Your deputy husband should have told you that going 30 over the speed limit is against the law. Sign here. Press hard because it's 4 times." Next morning, I come into work and we got called into the chief's office. Stopped the car one day and the lady looks at me and turns around and she goes, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing fine, ma'am. You got your driver's license with you?" She hands it to me. I already had it out. I said, "I'll be right back with you, ma'am." Went back to my car, ran the check. The license come back good. So I got my clipboard out and I started writing her ticket. And she's sitting there smiling. I handed her license and registration back, and she looks at me and goes, "I thought y'all didn't write pretty women tickets." "Correct, ma'am, we don't. Will you please sign right here?" I was called into the chief's office the next morning. I just found out that my son Alex completed a jailer school and is working for the city sheriff's department. And I'm proud of that. Holidays, he's going to miss. I missed a whole lot of them. And you're not having fun when you miss these things. I remember one Christmas Day, man, our shift had already planned that we were going to split our shift the first 6 hours, and then the others would come in and work the last. So that way we had Christmas Day and Christmas night, whatever. Yeah, it's going to work out great. It's pretty quiet. I've got Christmas music on the radio, and, just I'm cruising around, and there ain't much traffic on the roads or whatever. And man, I'm listening to the Christmas music. And there's snow on the ground. I'm looking at all the pretty neighborhoods and stuff. And I'm like, man, a couple hours, I'll be, in my Mama Connie's house. The kids will be there. That food, boy, man, I can't even wait. Then all of a sudden,
Poor irritating.
and by the way, if you haven't guessed by now, that was me. If it's going to go bad, I'm Chris. It's going to happen to me. So, yes, that was my unit number that dispatch called over the radio on this glorious Christmas morning. I reluctantly reached down and I picked the mic up. I was sitting there. As I picked it up, I'm thinking to myself, let it be just, there's a dog running loose or something. Go ahead, dispatch. We've got a call that has a subject there that is intoxicated, and they would like him gone. Woohoo! Yay me! I drive on over there. That's one of our not illustrious parts of town. I pull up and I say, dispatch, I'm on scene. And I can see this dude barely hanging off the side of a bed. And I recognize him. One of our elderly, used to be, now keep this in mind, used to be an ex-boxer that we arrested every other night or day for drunkenness. And I look at him, I said, oh my God. And I called him by his name and I said, man, come here. He looks at me, he stands up. And I'm like, look, dude, let me just take you somewhere else. I'm not going to take you to jail, but they don't want you here. I'll figure something out. And I'm still sitting there like all in a jolly mood, and he gets closer to me, and I'm like, I'll take you somewhere else. I ain't going to take you to jail on Christmas Day, dude. And bam! He done kicked me in the nuts with 20 cowboys. Well, I'm glad that y'all love so much pain and that brings y'all entertainment. So I'm sitting there and all I can do is grab him. And I took him down to the floor and I'm laying on him. That's all I can do. And he's punching, he's scratching my face. And all I can do is, cause it felt like somebody just took a red iron and shoved it right through my groin. He had kicked me so hard with them 20 cowboy boots into my little jewels that it busted the zipper on my patrol pants. Here's where the embarrassing part comes in. He wasn't getting kicked by an elderly dude into my nuts. Now I had to live with that later. I'm laying there and they wheel me into this room and say a radiology tech or whatever you call it. She's gonna come in. Well, here comes this young lady and I'm laying there and she comes up, starts putting these gloves on and I'm like, how you doing? And I'm looking around to see if there's a doctor or anybody else in the room. She starts putting this gel on her glove to finger. And she goes and pulls the sheet back and my ball and jewels are exposed. And she starts rubbing this gel all over him. And I'm like, ma'am. And me being a southern boy and a country gentleman, I'm like, ma'am, could you stop? She looks at me and laughs. She goes, it's normal, but I've got to put this on there because you've got to take pictures or whatever it was of my nuts. And I'm like, man. My little soldier was standing at a tent. Now, hang on. I don't care what y'all say. Anybody in that position, it's going to happen, man. But she's sitting there and she's doing it and she's smiling the whole time. I'm like, man, jewels out, and this woman laughing at me. My little soldier was standing up, and I'm like, ma'am. And she's like, shut up, this is normal. Hey, Merry Christmas to Chris. Now, another aspect of law enforcement that most folks don't realize is you've got to deal with not only human, but animals. Whether it's chasing a cow out of a road or you get called to somebody's house to remove a snake. I had an encounter, me and a buddy of mine did, that my wife Carol seems to love to use and hang over my head and think it's the funniest thing in the world. Well, let me tell you, she was not there. She did not feel the fear, and she did not walk through those gates of hell with us. One night, my partner and I got a call that there's this old abandoned house on this old back road, and that they thought there were people inside. So we get up to the door, we listen for a little bit, and we don't hear anything. But we still got to clear this house. In any kind of action movie you would have seen, they would have been crowded up. We had our weapons out, kicked in, we was going door to door. You know, and it looked like just something pretty out of the best action movie ever. But we hadn't found anything. So we come back and we're going down this long, dark hallway. I mean, this whole house, it was a very old, historic house. And there were still personal belongings and furniture and things in there, and it looked just like something out of a horror movie. We're moving down this hallway, and there's this giant room on the right side. So again, we get up to the door. He's on that side, I'm on this side, and I busted in. I go in, he comes in behind me, looking around, looking at the flashlight shining. Nothing. Until we hear something from a closet. We're like, we figured it a crackhead or homeless person that got in there and was making their bed down. Well, about the time we start to approach it, the closet door was open just a little bit, and all of a sudden these demonic eyes looked up at us in our flashlights and charged at us. And we both take off running. My partner's behind me. We're running in a circle, screaming and hollering. Both of us have a flashlight over our behind us, and we're looking over our shoulders, and this thing is chasing us. Both of us still had our pistols out. Either one of us thought about turning around and shooting this thing. We were running around like a bunch of little girls. So we're running in circles, and it's a raccoon, but it wasn't a regular raccoon. It was a nuclear infused werewolf demonic raccoon. This thing was out to kill us. It had lured us there for the purpose of slaughtering us. So we're still running in circles, and then about that time we just realized, that there's a doorway right there. We're going to run straight to it. As we go out, there's this old back door, and it goes on this old porch. And we both hit that porch, and it was just like imagine in an action movie, an explosion behind us. And we were slow motion flying through the air. We hit the grass, we rolling around, and then we stopped, and we look at that dark door. And then all of a sudden, this little tiny raccoon walks out on the porch, takes his time, stops, licks his paws, skedaddles on down those wooden steps, and walks on into the woods, minding his own business. We're like, you know what? We ain't telling nobody about this. We're going to be, and then all of a sudden we hear clap, clap. We look up, and two of the community police guys on foot had came there to, just back us up or whatever, but had watched the entire thing through a window. You heard me mention my son Alex earlier, and being a cop's child or children is not an easy task. I can tell that now looking back. My daughter Brooke, son Alex, and daughter Bailey, they're my life, my entire world, but it was no easy task. But my kids are weird. Hang on. Let me explain. My daughter Brooke, son Alex, and daughter Bailey, and I'm going to even throw in my niece at the time, Chris, are weird because of me. And it's in a good way. We would go to these rambled, shackled, abandoned, old frame houses in the middle of the night, or a cemetery, or we would walk out into an open field in the middle of the night and ghost hunting. It was something that we all enjoyed. We all loved watching them shows and things, but this was something that I could enjoy with them, and we would do it, and we were really into it, man. We'd get up into a house, or we'd be in a scene, and we all taking our time and stuff. We'd sit there listening, and Crystal would be snapping pictures with her camera, but then all of a sudden, while it's quiet, you'd hear Brooke go,
I see one.
You laugh, but you sit in a place like that in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden your daughter goes,
I see one.
and you think you ain't gonna listen. And then all of a sudden you hear Bailey go, what's she saying? All right, you know our gun belts. You got all this gear on. And then all of a sudden you got to... I ain't talking about just like you know this 2 hours ago that you got to go. I mean, one of those is hit. All of a sudden, you got to go. And what I'm about to tell you, I found out is a common thing that's actually happening to a lot of police officers. When you go in and you bust into that latrine and you get into the stall and you close the door, and you fight to get all your gear off. You got to get it off. The belt keeper's coming off. You got to lay your damn gear down and then drop it. Do your business. On your radios, your portable radios, that's on your belt, there's called a panic button. Something seriously happens and you just don't have the time to actually get on it. You can hit your panic button, dispatch tells where you're at. Getting in there and fighting all this gear and trying to get it off, and you just feel your stomach going. Well, you finally get your gun belt and all that, you throw it down and didn't realize you hit the panic button. Officers are busting into the door and looking around, and there you are sitting on the throne. You all right? Everything okay? I don't know about you folks, but I hate using public bathrooms. I do. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Because even when you first walk in, you just feel that slimy, uncomfortable feeling just looking. Well, sometimes you got to, and there ain't no choice about it. And one day I was on patrol, pains real quick, and your stomach's like that. So you rush into the nearest restaurant, whatever place that you can go find a bathroom. So I get into one, I take my gear off, and I sit down on the toilet, and a guy comes in and sits down in the stall beside me. Now, if you don't talk about awkwardness, that is awkward. I don't care what y'all say. So I'm sitting there, and I'm trying to be quiet as I can. And the guy beside me goes, hey, what's up? And now that awkward feeling has multiplied by 20 times. He said, not much. Just come in, take a break, and had to use the bathroom. And then I hear, hang on for a minute. Sir, I'm on the phone. So I'm like, no problem, I'm sorry. So, I'm sitting there still continuing on my business, feeling awkward. Then I hear, hey, I wasn't trying to sound rude or anything when I said what I did. And I'm like, hey man, I understand, it's all right. And then I hear, hang on. Dude, I'm still on the phone. Whether you're state trooper, city cop, whatever, and you have to work accidents or you direct the traffic cause of an accident, it's rubberneckers. Those are the ones that are going to just keep your lane slowed up because they want to slowly drive by and see what's going on. You'll get so many people that will pull up to you as you're directing traffic. You're already hot, and they're going to pull up and go, how you doing, officer? Is there a wreck up there? Me being me. No, sir. A Sasquatch got hit by a truck, and government crews are trying to clean it up. It's called to the chief's office. Again, apparently just... Anybody that is familiar with people using the radio like that will understand this. You have 4 different types of people that talk on the radio. You've got the normal guy. 518 PD, I'll be 1023 on scene. I'm going to be checking it out. Plain talk, pretty clear. Dispatcher knows you're there on the scene. But then you get the mumbler. They're the ones that get on the radio and all you hear is... Could you repeat that, please? Now, the other one you got is what we call the excited officer. No matter what he's calling in, it could be a stop sign got knocked over and so-and-so, and he's going to act like it's a murder scene and he's being shot at. You know, it's basically...
518 Peter, I'm going to be over here on the corner and I've got a stop sign down. I'm going to be checking it out, PD.
Now, the fourth one is the professional. He's going to use every 10 code that's listed and is barely going to use any plain talking.
518 PD, I'm going to be 1023 with a 10-8 subject over here. I'm going to be possibly 1032, and I see a 1055 coming down the road. It'll be 10-6.
So now you've got every officer out there flipping through his briefcase and stuff, trying to find a 10 code cheat sheet. And dispatch is even sitting down there like scratching their heads, man. They make jokes about this coronavirus, but I am sympathetic to it. Now, the thing that has me concerned is several things, really. First of all, you know, now everybody's talking about washing hands. Why have these people not been doing that before? I mean, just now they act like, you know, hey, oh man, we got to start washing our hands. Really? You've got to start washing your hands? I mean, I don't get it. And the other thing, mass buying toilet paper. For what? I mean, let's not worry about essentials like water, food, medical supplies. Let's go grab that toilet paper, boys. Are they sneezing out of it? I don't get it. Keep in mind, cops have to be on the street, no matter what's happening. If I were still out there on the streets, I'm not gonna lie, I'd get a call and they tell me to go to some address and take a report. Temple. I'd roll there, I'd pull up, and I'd get on the PA system.
The police department is outside. Would you please exit your dwelling, please?
And they'd start walking towards your car. I'd get out and I'd say, whoa, 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 right there's fine enough. Social distance, people, social distance. I would say, y'all got a problem? Y'all got a report or something that could take? I've been in so many fights as a police officer. Unfortunately, you know, getting physical with someone or having to do that to negate an arrest very often. But I would rather fight a 400-pound muscle builder than I would a 5'2", wiry, pissed off woman. I'm serious. Those are the ones that, first of all, you go in and you're like, oh man, I don't want to hit a woman, I don't want to hurt her or whatever, and then so bam, you know, bam, bam, and she's beating your ass. So, this one time, now let me explain something. My mama Connie only stands 3'6". No, she's a little bit bigger than that. But when I stand up to my mama, even now today, she is like under me and looks up at me. But every time I had to deal with a very short woman and arrest her and she decided that she wanted to fight, I remember my mama, no matter the day, if I looked down on her or whatever, she would still smack the silliness out of my face. Go deal with this woman one day. It turns out she was mental. When I say mental, I mean mentally challenged. And drunk. And on crack. So, yeah. Woo. She's in the middle of this one black neighborhood. Short, white woman decided she was going to sit on somebody's front porch like it was her house and throw rocks at people that were walking down the road. We get there and get her off the porch and lead her down to the street to get her off these people's porch. And she's talking calmly, but you can tell she's all jacked up. And I'm like, yes, ma'am, do you have any ID on you? And she looks up at me. It was like a moment in time had froze. I could see what she was about to do, and we could not react because it was like the moment had frozen. Her left hand come up and then time unfroze. And that hand right across my face. The old saying goes, she had done slapped the damn taste out of my mouth. Man, I was seeing stars and I was having flashbacks of me being a kid and my mama slapping me across the face for being a smart ass. Boy, all kinds of things happened then. I spent a lot of time on the street crimes unit. I love that. One night while we was on street crimes unit, me and 2 other officers in plain clothes, we had the whole entire city to ride around and pick up prostitutes. We had been out there fishing all night long. We were hitting the trailer parks. We were hitting the truck stops. We were hitting the bars. Nothing. And the way we had it set up was my buddy was driving this van. The other officer was, sitting up in the front with him. I'm hiding in the back, in the very back, behind the last seat in this van as a takedown guy. If they had picked somebody up or whatever, the passwords is, okay, gotcha. I'm sitting in the back there and we're all talking, but I'm having to holler over this back seat. Riding around. I'm like, this is insane, man. We're not getting anybody. Let's just head back to precinct. So we start heading back. All of a sudden, I hear, hey, wait a minute. There's 2 right here. Hang on. So I'm laying back. I'm getting all tense. And just, oh, yeah, we got them. And they pull up. The van stops. I can hear my buddies talking. Then I hear the passenger door open and the side door of the van open. They done nailed 2 prostitutes. Waiting for the keyword to come out and we're going to pop them. Well, the doors close and slowly roll off. The van's going. And I hear my guy say, how much? And then I hear
$20.
The entire atmosphere of that van changed. And I heard my buddy go, all right, got you. I didn't come out. I was back there almost crying, laughing, but I was going to hold it out. I'm waiting. Okay, I got you. I'm still, I hear,
We're going to do this or not.
And about that time, the van brakes hit, the slide door opens, the guy in front of me we had 2 elderly dudes in blonde wigs. And as I come out, I was still barreled over laughing. And my buddy, of course, is looking at me like he's going to kill me. We had spent all night out there trying to pick up prostitutes everywhere we possibly could in the entire city and come back to the hood, and the best that my buddy could do was pick up 2 elderly dudes in wigs. One thing that has always astounded me is how dumb people can be. I'm serious. I mean, how dumb or stupid people can be. You got to hear me out. If you are a drug dealer, you've got a pound of weed in your car, and you know that you have a suspended license, why are you going to drive around with loud music knowing that it's against the law? Or why are you going to be in an area that is watched for drug dealing with a headlight out? You can have somebody that's got a pound of cocaine in their trunk and wanted for murder in 3 states. And they're going to be riding around in the hood. Headlight out. I'm very immune to the stupidity of humans. One night, the city that I worked in, we had several trailer parks, and we had several housing projects. My partner at the time, my best friend, is a guy named Dave. We got a call one night of a possible domestic at a trailer park. We roll there knowing it's one of the trailer parks where you a lot of times get into fights. The door swings open and there's this, all I can say is an Amazon woman wearing a wife beater t-shirt. And we just reluctantly step on in. We were stepping over piles of dog crap. Plates of food with rotten food on it. I felt my buddy tapped my elbow. I looked at him real quick, and I looked down on the coffee table, and I'm not kidding you, folks. There was several lines, cocaine already cut on a mirror, and there was a little bag sitting over there with powder in it. So what's the problem, man? And she goes, I went back to the bathroom, and I come back, and he done took an extra sniff. And I bought this, and he took an extra sniff and wants to argue about it. We just sit there and look at each other. We're trying to be sympathetic and like shaking our heads like, yes, we understand, yes. Now, me being the sympathetic kind of guy, I just can't rush in yet and say it. So I look at my buddy, and he already cued in, and he's already shaking his head. So I look at the woman, I said, so what you're telling me, ma'am, is that when you went out to the bathroom, he took an extra line of cocaine that y'all were supposed to share because you bought it, correct, ma'am? And without a hesitation, she raises her arms up like she is in triumph and says, exactly, man, exactly. Now he gonna sit there on my couch and... Well, needless to say, we hooked them up, told them both they were under arrest, possession of cocaine. The best part of this whole thing came when me and my buddy went to the arraignment. The judge actually looked over the bench and said, y'all have got to be the dumbest folks I have ever had approach me in my courtroom. Right, near the judge's bench. And the judge would say, all right, for anyone who's going to plead guilty to your traffic charge or your misdemeanor charge or whatever, line up. And awkwardly, they would all line up in front of us within just a couple feet. We're sitting there. Well, this one time, and I still say to this day, that day I was thinking to myself, every one of us cops sitting here are going to hell. And this is why. And hear me out. So we're sitting there, and this line of people a foot or two away from us, and we're sitting there all awkward, and all of a sudden we hear... I look to the right, I look to the left, and every cop on that bench was looking, and we hear... We realize there's this lady standing right in front of me, about 2 feet in front of me, and she's just farting away. And she never made a blink. She never looked at us, laughed, smiled, nothing. She just kept looking for it. And now by this time, every one of us are crying. I mean, our faces are red with tears, trying not to laugh out loud. And we realize there's a woman behind her that keeps, poking her in the back. It turned out it was her sister. This lady was deaf. And I understand that, and I've got sympathy for that. But, I mean, when you fart, do you not feel your ass cheeks flap? I mean, do you not feel the fart come out? I understand you're deaf, but damn, do you not feel you farting? Do you really think that is not going to be heard? This woman sat in front of us and kept, in his line, farting and just like nothing's wrong. You cannot tell me just because you're deaf that you cannot feel a fart exit your rear end. You can't. A lot of things happen in court that is very funny, just sitting in the courtroom. And this one, it wasn't me that did it, but I wish to God I would have had the balls to do it. That dude was my hero. Now, here it is. We had a visiting judge, and we had a state trooper that was covering our county, but he had gotten a city charge. So he's in our court, and he gets called up. Now, keep in mind, the judge that is visiting, nobody could stand. I mean, he was just one of those that the criminal was always right, and this trooper goes up there. What was the reason for the stop? And the state trooper looks at him and says, well, I was riding by through a convenience store parking lot, and I was within 5 feet of this car as I passed him, and he turned around and gigged me. He gave me the middle finger. The judge looks at him and says, so? The trooper stands there for a second like, I didn't know if he was drunk. I didn't know, if it was. So, I stopped him. And the judge looks at him and says, well, how do you know he was not saying hello, trooper? And tossed the case. The trooper calmly picked his files up, turned around, walked toward to go out, and then he stopped and turned around and looked at the judge and gave him the middle finger and said, "Have a good day, Your Honor." There was nothing the judge could say because he had just placed on court record that the middle finger could be saying hello or whatever. And the trooper gave him the middle finger and walked silently out the door. And we're sitting there fighting back laughter like you could not imagine. Had a wonderful time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Keep all your police officers and law enforcement officers in your prayers. Good night. Be safe going home.